What does it take to flip a congressional seat in Indiana? What does it take to hold one? Or maybe most importantly, who are the people willing to step up and fight for Hoosier families in Washington? This is Turn Left, Running for Congress 2026. We're sitting down with the Indiana Democratic candidates running for Congress in the 2026 primary. This is your chance to hear directly from the people who want to represent you, not just their talking points, but their stories, their values, and their vision for Indiana's future. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Turn Left, Running for Congress 2026. Tonight's guest is running in District 4. It is time to flip District 4. Y'all give it up for my guest, Dew Cox. Dew, how you doing?
I'm really good. How are you doing, Dana? Thanks for having me.
I am wonderful. Thank you for joining me. All right. Tell the people who you are and where you come from, because I don't know.
Okay. I'm a lifelong Hoosier. So born and raised in Indiana. I'm originally from Henry County, and that's on the eastern part of, kind of towards the eastern part of the state. But I've been in the Purdue area or Lafayette for a while now. I first moved here in 2016 to help with the jazz bands. And then I went to the University of Illinois to get a doctorate in jazz from the University of Illinois. And then I got a job back here again, but now I don't direct jazz bands. I do classroom teaching. So I'm teaching jazz history, classical music history, drum set, and history of rock and roll this semester. But I've taught quite a few classes there, so I'm kind of their guinea pig. I've taught like 12 different classes there. And so they just kind of put me where they need me. But that's kind of the nature of college teaching these days. It's kind of a difficult path, especially for music. But I originally, I went to high school at Tri-High, and I graduated from high school. I went to Anderson University. After I went to Anderson, I played drums on cruise ships for a little while, and then I joined the Marine Corps, which is an interesting transition to go from playing drums on a cruise ship to being in the United States Marine Corps. And I played in the band, the Marine Corps band in Quantico. And after I was in Quantico for a couple years, I got individually augmented out of Quantico to go to Afghanistan and to provide convoy security. And then I got out of the Marine Corps in March of 2012, went to IU, got a master's, then to Purdue, then to Illinois, back to Purdue, bought a house, living here in Lafayette, kind of settled down. That's the short version.
I like it. Well, a couple of things there. Forget a house divided. It's a brain divided. You went to Indiana and Purdue?
Yeah, well, I went to Indiana, but I work at Purdue, so and then I also went to Illinois, so I'm on this like Big Ten tour.
I love it. The second thing is, have you ever played at the Jazz Kitchen?
Yes, I've played there mostly at the Monday night jazz jams.
Uh-huh.
I went there, but I've also performed there, but I haven't performed there as a performer. It was a long, long time ago. But so when you're not like living in the Indianapolis area, it's kind of hard to like kind of crack into the scene a little bit. So I've played at the Chatterbox a few times, and I've played at the Jazz Kitchen a few times. But since I live like a little over an hour away, I haven't been able to go to Indianapolis as much. But Indianapolis has a great jazz scene and some tremendous jazz musicians.
Absolutely, honey. Indiana Avenue started it all. My daddy, has passed on, but he used to tell me about Indiana Avenue and the Walker Theater and all the things that used to happen over there. So I am a jazz music fan, not a by any stretch of the imagination, a connoisseur. I do know what my ears like, and I love going to the Jazz Kitchen. Now, I know we got to talk about politics, but hey, one of the things I love about candidates is how well-rounded they are, right? So right now you see in the state of Indiana, the chopping of courses that help students become well-rounded humans. We see the federal government saying that there are certain programs that will not be considered professional programs. Talk to us about how having music and studying music has shaped your life and how beneficial it has been since they don't want us to do that stuff no more.
Yeah, even if it's not a career path, I think music is just a really edifying experience. It helps you to understand, it helps you to work with other people as a team, it helps you to be democratic. And then like playing drums, like working with different rhythms, being polyrhythmic is like good for your brain. It's good for brain development. And I think we live in this society now where we've kind of become obsessed with like we all want business minded people to run things. And I'm not talking about one particular person. I'm just talking about like, we're so obsessed. We think everyone needs to have a business acumen. And the result of that means that we don't value things except money. That means that money just becomes the most important thing. And so that's how we can, discount the importance of music education. And music education is just part of a very well-rounded education. And I think it should be, we shouldn't treat education as if it makes money, yes, you can study it. If it doesn't make money, that doesn't really align with our values or doesn't align with my values anyway.
Absolutely not. And I appreciate that. You're also finding yourself in environments with young people on a daily basis. What vibe are you getting from our young people on these campuses in this current state that we find ourselves in?
I don't. So as a faculty member, I'm really careful to not talk politics directly, really with students. And Purdue, is a little, I think, pretty conservative. So I'm a little bit hesitant to talk politics in a direct manner, but that doesn't stop me from teaching about jazz. And jazz is Black American music that is, in my opinion, my favorite American art form, and it has a very, very rich history. And so I'm not talking about politics when I teach jazz history directly, but I'm telling the story as it is and how it started and how jazz was born in New Orleans and it kind of moved north with the Great Migration. And the Great Migration is in class I talk about cause and effect. When slavery ended, the Reconstruction effort was the United States' attempt to try to make right what they had done with the institution of slavery. But then the Reconstruction was met with Jim Crow laws and state oppression, at the state level. So the Great Migration, jazz moves with it. So jazz goes from New Orleans to Chicago in 1920. And then from Chicago, it moves over to New York. And that's all part of, knowing that part of history is important as knowing about the music itself, I think.
I love that. I love that how you have managed to, weave a rich history that can't be, well, they can try to scrutinize it with their anti-DEI stuff, but you're able to weave it in. And I appreciate you adding that nuance. Do you think your ability to have that kind of nuance sets you up for success in Congress?
That's one, looking at like my background and being completely honest, identity matters. And so I kind of think that having a well-rounded, having done all these things is good, but also, being like a farm boy and being like, a military veteran, those two things actually probably go a long way too. Just the fact that my dad's a fourth generation farmer, that's helpful, but it also means that I understand farming. My mom's 36, she's in her 36th year of elementary education.
Wow.
That's some serious dedication.
Right?
That's crazy. And she's not going to stop after this year either. She's going for number 37 next year. And that's affected me too. I've gone into education. Of course, I'm at the college level, but I really believe in jazz history and music history too. I teach classical music history. But to represent people, I think it's good to have, to be a multifaceted individual. You can represent a lot of different people and sympathize and communicate easily with a bunch of different people. I think that's what's important. So, yeah, having a wide variety of being a multifaceted individual. Yeah.
And it seems like right now listening to your story, you are in the crossroads of two of the hottest issues hitting Americans right now: education and farming. Let's hit the tariffs first. Let's talk about the tariffs first. You said your dad was a third generation farmer.
He's
Fourth generation farmer. I imagine you still have relationships with folks who are still in the farming industry. What are you hearing from them as you are making your rounds in District 4?
Fertilizer is really expensive. Seed is really expensive. I've heard stories of farms selling out. I heard of I can't remember their names, but some huge farmer in I think it was Montgomery County, where Crawfordsville is. Someone was telling me at an event the other day of some farmer that had like 1,000 acres, and they just completely sold it all off.
Wow.
And that's because row crop farming is in danger right now. So in addition to the tariffs making fertilizer and seed really expensive, you've also got the fact that we look at the rest of the world now more like adversaries and less like partners. And the result is that we've lost a big market share in soybeans. And so a lot of people's soybeans are in storage.
Wow.
And so there are several problems happening for farmers. And then also right to repair laws, like that was more of an issue in the previous election, but it's taken kind of a backseat to all these.
Tell us what right to repair is. I don't think I've heard that one before.
Right to repair your own equipment. Like there's this proprietary, so many new combines and tractors, John Deere has to work on the tractor for you. You can't freely go in and do things yourself.
Even if you own it?
Yeah, you're limited to what you can do. But yeah, that was a much bigger issue the last time around, but there's so many I haven't even heard anyone talk about that.
I haven't either.
This year, because
one thing that I am very familiar with is that farmers are pretty self-reliant. Not only can they grow the crops, they can pretty much fix anything that requires hands, right? And so to say to them that they now no longer can do for themselves, they have to pay somebody, because I imagine there's a service charge every time you need somebody from John Deere to come out. That's crazy.
Yeah. And also the stuff that's being made now is just increasingly computerized. It's more and more, computers type of repair stuff. So it is increasingly difficult to repair. It's not like repairing a 1970s or a 1980s tractor.
Sure. Yeah, understandable. I feel for our farmers because, even though people want to suggest that we're no longer an agro nation, there are still people who have it in their blood. Just like you have music in your blood, I have talking in my blood, right? There are people that have farming in their blood. But what else I find interesting is that you said your mom is in her 36th year, working on her 37th year of teaching. Does she often talk to you about the changes in public? Is she a public education teacher, I should ask? Okay.
Yep.
Does she talk about what changes have happened over the last 36 years in public education?
Yeah, I've kept up with the state of Indiana education largely because of her being in it for so long, and when she started teaching, I think Ed O'Bannon maybe was the governor, or Evan Bayh. I'm
One of
not
those
sure.
two.
Yeah, it was a Democrat governor, and teacher. There was a strong Indiana teachers union back then. The union was strong. They had negotiating power. They had a steady raise, like you had a 2% just raise every year. And then when I think it was Ed O'Bannon, the last Democrat governor, passed away, at that point, everything for teachers basically started to get worse, and the steady pay raise went away. The I think that it used to be the case. I got to double check this one for sure, but it used to be the case that if you had a master's degree or an advanced degree, that would guarantee that you'd have to make more money, and I think that's been reduced. So my mom she paid out of pocket for her own master's degree at Ball State and got like a 4.0 and master's in education, and she teaches at Newcastle Elementary, one of the Newcastle elementary schools. And I, I hope she doesn't mind me saying this. I think she makes about 60,000,
Say
and
what?
that's teaching a huge class too.
After
That's
36 years?
36 years with a master's degree. Yeah. That the school didn't pay for. She paid for that. And so yeah, she retired once, but she actually retired, but she wasn't making enough money at the 34-year mark. So she's just been now she switched from Knightstown to Newcastle and has been doing I think it's more so like long-term subbing, like you contract for a year. You're like, I'm gonna teach, be a fifth grade teacher for a year as a long-term sub. So it's really bad. It's not only, I mean, and also, the classroom sizes are huge. The classes are getting bigger. These charter schools that have been popping up, like they're less regulated. They don't have the same regulation as public schools. And yet 1 in 3 charter schools have closed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a massive disruption to education. You've got this, and you've also got taxpayer money getting funneled in to these charter schools. And not only that, when the voucher program started back in 2011 in Indiana, like we used to give vouchers to low income students that families had to be making $45,000 a year or less. And Black students made up 1/4 of the population
Recipients.
of voucher recipients. And since then, and you need to know the history of Indianapolis public school systems. I mean, I'm sorry that we only have a limited amount of time, but like the state of education in Indiana, you had redlining in Indiana, which was legal until 1968. You had Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, but IPS did not enforce that. So in 1973, courts forced Indianapolis public schools to integrate, which meant busing students to the schools on the edge of town, which caused those white students to basically move into private schools. And then as a result, IPS lost a lot of funding and then basically has become underfunded. And then flash forward to this voucher program in 2011. Well, it starts off awesome. Starts off 45 needs-based criteria, not anything but needs-based criteria first. And now the needs-based part of it is gone, and it's a rich person's game, basically. Mm-hmm. And we've left behind the people that, that need it the most. We've left behind, it's just it's a rich kid's game.
Yeah. And so Drew, as I listen to you, it is apparent to me that you have like a rich knowledge of what the heck's been going on in Indiana. You have a rich knowledge of history, and now you're running for Congress. So we highlighted a few of the issues, but I never want a show to be all about the problems. I like to also hear, what your ideas are for solutions. Because me and you could sit around and point out, all the things all day long because we
Yeah.
know, right? Talk to us. Something had to be the catalyst for you to run for Congress, right? And
Yes.
and then talk about. I'm gonna give you some time to let you flow. Talk about some of the things that you see that we could be doing better and some of the ideas that you want to bring to the United States Congress.
Well, the reason that I got interested in running was because of seeing ICE and what I see as our government kind of terrorizing its own people. And you see, there are 170 people have been abducted that were actually American citizens, but that's just the ones we know about.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I first saw people being taken away in unmarked cars, unidentifiable officers to unknown locations, that's when I was like, okay, I need to strongly consider this. I got a kind of a background that would be good. It's kind of a varied background that relates to a bunch of different people. And but since deciding to run, obviously there's so many more issues besides ICE. So I think that for one, stopping the funding of ICE until there's more congressional oversight is a good idea for starters. But also the representative in my district currently doesn't represent his people really at all, and you can't find the guy. Jim Baird is, there are signs that says "Where's Baird?" And so our first order of business when the election is over, if we're successful, is to have a town hall in every single county and just restore what it's supposed to mean, representative democracy. Go to every single county, which there are like 16 in the fourth district, and have a town hall in every single meeting, closed to no one, open to everyone, Republican, Democrat, you name it. That's number one, is just representing people. And then, if I can get into Congress, Congress is supposed to be responsible for tariffs. It's clearly laid out in the Constitution. So this lack of affordability, it is coming a lot largely from tariffs, and the tariffs are the responsibility of the Congress. So I would remind our members of Congress that is their job. And also their job is to make their communities better, not make their donors happy. So all these data centers that are coming in, they're coming in all over the fourth district. They're coming in different parts of the state. These, you hear Mike Braun talk about, we got to get on board, or we're going to miss the wave of, like as if families and people, taking their kids to school are like, yeah, we need to get in with the data center game. Like what? No, that increases everyone's electricity costs, that they consume so much fresh water. So I think as a congressman, I would also definitely move to start putting some restrictions on these data centers and make it so that you can't build them unless they're intrinsically good for the community that they go in. Because right now they're going into communities and we're seeing our price of utilities just go up.
Rocket. They're putting them in places so that the citizens have to subsidize their energy use. And I don't understand. Like, I know this. I don't know why people when they show up at 34th and Sherman and say they're going to put a data center. This is already a struggling community. Why? Okay. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Sorry. This is about you.
Yeah. And they're not, and these data centers don't really create jobs. They're sending money elsewhere. And that's how Indiana does it. Indiana, that's what we've had for the last many, many years. We basically sacrifice our local communities for the sake of business. Mm-hmm. It gets sold as it's like, well, if you don't have this, you're going to be economically backwards if you don't accept this business that comes into your community and pushes you around and takes up all your natural resources and jacks up your energy cost. people are so powerless. You got to be rich to make a difference. So I'm going to Washington to represent everyday folks that, don't have $1 million to donate to a campaign so that favors can happen on their behalf. I'm going there so the teachers and factory workers and everyday folks have the same power as the people that have all the money. And Citizens United, it'd be great if we got rid of that, because Citizens United, with the flowing of money, Elon Musk contributed 250 million
Why can't
bucks.
we deport his ass? I'm sorry.
Yeah. He contributed $250 million, and obviously that affected the outcome of the race. The big money is in all these races, and that's why you got a Congress that's rated at 30%, and we keep electing the same people because we keep electing the people that have all the big donors, and the results speak for themselves.
Absolutely. So election night, you win, right? November, you win. You're heading to Congress. You mentioned some issues that you definitely want to be a part of and work on. But what is that first piece of legislation? Like, as soon as you walk through the door, you're finding the nearest partner in crime or accomplice to get this piece of legislation going.
I think there's a bill in Congress already. I think it's in committee. Bill to end partisan gerrymandering would be a good first step. And right now, I think you can clearly look at the Democratic Party, although imperfect as a big party is going to be. I think that Democrats are pretty much in step with wanting to end partisan gerrymandering, and the Republican Party is not.
No.
So Amy Klobuchar or someone has a bill to end partisan gerrymandering, and it just can't make it out of committee. So that would be like probably number one. Get like fair maps for every state, like Indiana, they tried to redistrict the map. They tried to splinter the very middle of the state, and they tried to splinter the northwest corner, which is the two biggest populations for Black African American voters. So it was like, that was obviously going to split those two centers up. And that would have, if that would have passed, thank God it didn't, but that would have been just even if someone tries to say that was not a racist intent, the outcome would have been racist.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, though, and I think this is one of the reasons why it didn't pass. Well, first of all, I can say Hoosiers, whether they Republican lackeys or not, they don't like to be bullied. You know what I'm saying? I can say, I have to give the Indiana GOP credit where credit is due. When they were being bullied, they said, back up. We're not having that. So I'm going to give it up for them. But they wouldn't do that for me if I was being bullied. I just want y'all to be clear. I'm not crazy. But I think the other part was, I think they realized right now our voter turnout is low, right? You passed that redistricting, I bet turnout would have been record numbers. And then you go from thinking that you're going to take District 7 and maybe take District 1, and you may end up with only 4 districts out of the 9, because we win 2 or 3 in Marion County. We win some up north. Plus, I just don't think it would have worked out the way they thought it was going to work out. If you can't just keep ticking people off and then expecting them to sit back and just let it happen. And trust me, people are already galvanized now. If they had done that redistricting, bro.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't. I think they may have stopped just because of backlash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for legitimate reasons.
No, you're right, because
but at least the outcome.
I mean, they're still arguing over what bathroom people can use in our state house. So
Yeah.
the brilliance of the elected officials in the GOP, Indiana GOP.
Yeah, the pressing issues of the day.
So here we are. This was a great conversation. I could actually like talk to you forever because you have an abundance of knowledge about a lot of different things. Plus, you like music and you play the drums, which was like my
Yep.
favorite instrument that I ever wanted to play. And my mama was like, "Oh heck, no, we're not bringing that noise in the house." Um, so
Same.
yeah, yeah. Tell the people if you have any events coming up where they can find you, or if they want to volunteer, how they can get in touch with you.
So we've got a calendar of events at drewcox.org. Nice and simple. Not Andrew, just Drew. DREWCOX.org. And that website will also, in addition to giving you the calendar, it'll give you our specific views on many different issues. And it will also show you if you would like to donate. You can donate a couple different ways. You can send it. It'll give you the address to mail your check, or it would give you an online source. You can donate directly on the Squarespace website, or you can donate via ActBlue. So several different ways of doing that. You can also, if you don't have enough money to donate and you just want to maybe volunteer, you can sign up on the website to volunteer, and you'll receive some correspondence from someone, and we can find a job for you. No job is too meaningless. There are so many different things that can be done, and it needs to be done too because it's just a grassroots campaign, and we only accepted donations from small time folks, regular folks. Haven't accepted anything from any corporate PACs or anything like that, and we intend on keeping it that way.
I love that. I love that. Now, you know, I'm gonna be just a slight bit salty at the fact that you got some other digital online tool that other than my beloved Act Blue, but that's okay. That's all right. My beloved
Yeah.
Act Blue.
Is that what your
Huh?
icon says? Act Blue? The AB under your name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
like,
They don't see that. You see that. That's the logo.
okay, I was wondering if that was
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I am your Act Blue representative for Indiana.
Okay.
See, that's why.
I
Yeah, I got some
did not know
tips and
that.
tricks that I can help you out to help you maximize your digital fundraiser. You should reach out to me. We'll talk about it.
You will?
All right.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, give me your elevator pitch.
My name's Dew Cox. I'm running for the 4th District of the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm running for everyday folks. We need to get big money out of politics and make it so that this economy is equitable for everyone, no matter what you look like, how old you are, how much money you have.
I love it. I love it. You guys, if you like what he's talking about, thank you so much for joining me. This was a great conversation. Like I feel like I can hang out with you and just have some coffee and just kick it because you got something in that noggin, which is a far cry from some of the folks in Congress right now. They seem to be a little empty-headed. So thank you for joining me on Turn Left, running for Congress 2026. Dew Cox running in District 4. Guys, listen, if you like what he's talking about, donate to his campaign. I have included his Act Blue link for you to contribute to his campaign. I know that there is a desire to want campaigns to not have to need money, but in order for him to be competitive, he needs money. And I know that it's a great idea, it's a great concept, and I love it. But let's be real, that man needs some money. If he wants to be competitive and go against an incumbent that's been in Congress for so long, he's gonna need to get his ads out. He's gonna need to get yard signs. He's gonna need to send mailers, and none of that stuff is free. None of it. He's gonna have to run digital ads. He's gonna have to run radio ads, all the things. He's gonna have to get his message out to as many people as possible. He's got to pay staff. He's got to buy water for staff. So none of this stuff is free. And as much as we want to talk about it, and I know we want grassroots campaigns, and I love that. And to me, grassroots is out there talking to the people. But you still have to raise that money. So click his donate link. Donate if you like what he's talking about. Dew Cox running for Congress in District 4. Please, please, please consider donating to his campaign if you like what he's talking about. All right, I got more. I got more people who are running for Congress who are going to come and talk to me. So you look for them, all right? Indiana's own Dana Black, turn left, running for Congress 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll holler at you next time. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions, executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by Dorian and 22 from Pixabay.